Yet again, it was another busy day on the London Railway, and Sarah was shunting Adam's coaches to him. "Here are your coaches, Adam," she joyfully said. "Thank you, little Sarah. I'm due to be taking the London Express to Norwich and back." "Wow, you get to go to the mainland?" asked Sarah. "Why, yes, I do," boasted Adam. "Oh, I wouldn't go to the mainland if I were you," said Dudley ominously as he chuffed in, pulling a local goods train. "The mainland is a scary place where not many steam engines survive. I'm one of the lucky ones that managed to survive their torturous methods of scrap." But Sarah didn't believe them. "Nonsense! Steam engines are one of the most powerful machines alive." "Don't say I didn't warn you," taunted Dudley as he chuffed away. Later, at the sheds, Mr. Stephen arrived with an urgent job for Sarah. "Sarah, an urgent delivery of scrap is to go to the Brighton scrap yard. I need you to deliver the scrap trucks there, then come immediately back here." "Yes, sir," said Sarah as she chuffed away to fetch her trucks. Later, as she puffed down the main line, she started to see some strange things as she puffed nearer to Brighton. For one thing, she saw water towers and coal hoppers covered in rust, with the words "out of order" on them, and mainly coal hoppers completely empty. "Strange," she thought. "How can you keep a shunter fueled without coal?" she said. As she continued, she started to remember when she and her sisters, including Tilly, lived in the switch engine workshop. They also had two middle sisters, Dilly and Jilly. Dilly was a small red switch engine with autism and didn't like talking much. Jilly was a green switch engine who was really fascinated by flowers and loved puffing past the forest. Unfortunately, the day when Tilly was sent to the island of Sodor and Sarah was sent to London, Sarah never found out what happened to Jilly and Dilly. She was excited to think that she would meet them at Brighton. When she did, she saw no steam engines, only dirty trucks and sidings. That's odd. Where on earth is a shunter when you need one? Then a yard foreman walked up. He looked very disgruntled and grumpy. "Just leave your trade there, you steaming lump of scrap iron. We'll get a shunter to move it later," he growled. He's a bit grumpy," said Sarah. She was about to ask where a shunter was until she heard a growl and a roar from behind her. Quickly, a big mainline diesel roared by, its dark blue and yellow paint standing out against the long line of dirty trucks, and eventually it oiled into the distance. "So, where's the shunter?" asked Sarah cutely. She's over there." The yard foreman pointed to a female diesel shunter pushing some trucks into another siding. "But don't you have any steamies here?" "Ugh, don't know any steamies. I've never had a steamie in my yard for, I don't know how long. Besides, you're a couple, so why don't you get out of my yard?" he yelled. Sarah's driving fireman, being unnerved, quickly opened the purple switch engine's regulator, and Sarah chuffed away. "It's going to be hard to see where we're going, Sarah," said her driver. "This fog is very thick." And as Sarah puffed along the line, she started to get more nervous as she saw signs saying, "Diesels park here, don't idle in sidings," and "Diesel oil refill station." Sarah started to get scared if there were any steam engines. Eventually, when she got to a patch of track that was overgrown by grass, she saw some dark shapes in the distance that looked like steam engines. "Perfect! They can tell me where the main line is. Excuse me!" But the engines didn't reply. "I said excuse me! Can you tell me where the main line is?" As Sarah gasped as she puffed into the steam engines were, and the whole cleared, they came clear. They were indeed steam engines, but they were all covered in rust. Some of them were just boilers stacked up haphazardly. The ones still on the tracks terrified Sarah the most. Some of them had mostly automatic parts, but they didn't have faces, so they were just rusted shells.
No engine deserves this fate,
Sarah said. Then Sarah remembered. Back at the switch engine workshop, before she left for London, she heard their manager say, "Well, Gillian, I'm going to send you to a fine place for switch engines. You'll feel like new there." Sarah was now very scared. What if that fine place for switch engines was here? Sarah looked around desperately, but luckily there were no switch engines there.
Phew! At least they weren't scrapped.
As Sarah puffed forward, she felt a bit more brave, until she got to the main smelting shed. She saw workmen cutting up two new engines, and these engines were ones she knew. One was a deep shade of red covered in rust, the other was a deep shade of green covered in rust, with the words "scrap" and "I'm dead" painted in bold white paint on their sides. Sarah, now feeling absolutely heartbroken, started to cry, and she chuffed away. When she got back to the sheds, the other engines asked her what was wrong. "Sarah, you feeling okay? You're crying like a baby," said Riley.
"Shut up, Riley!"
yelled Martha. But Sarah didn't reply. She just kept on crying. "I did warn you, but now you see that not all steam engines are safe from the cutter's torch," taunted Dudley. Later, all the engines went to sleep, all except for Sarah. She was traumatized by her experience. Now she knew that Jilly and Dilly were not sent to a fine place for switch engines.